Okay, so let's start about our class for today. Uh, the topic is spring. So we will discuss about the what are the different types of spring, where it is used, and then we will come as per our syllabus the helical spring. So spring, already you have seen the spring in different application, in your household application or machinery application. So spring basically a elastic body, uh, and its basic function is to distort when it is loaded and regain its original shape when the load is removed. That means due to the load it gets compressed, and when the load is removed it comes to its original position. So where it can be applicable, where we can able to see the spring application of the spring. So spring acts as a cushion, and it absorbs and controls the energy due to the shock and vibration, and it is used in car, railway, buffer, or gears, shock absorber, or vibration damper. And also the application of the brake, clutches, and spring loaded valves to control and maintain the contact between two elements, as well as spring can see in the spring engine indicators, spring balance, as well as soft toys, where in watches where we need to require to store energy. So spring can be different types. One is helical spring, another is the leaf spring, another is the Belleville spring. So helical spring we generally see, this is a compression type helical spring. That means the load is acting in the compressive load, and this is the tensile helical spring. The load is acting tensile direction. And this is the leaf spring. Leaf spring, maybe you have seen used in the automobiles, like in the truck. You have seen this kind of structure, and this is known as the leaf spring. And this is Belleville spring. This spring is used in application where high spring rates and compact spring units are required. So based on our syllabus, we will not going to discuss about the leaf spring or Belleville spring. We are going to discuss about the helical spring, because this is only having in your syllabus, and these two things it will be having in your 6 semester classes when it will be in design of machine elements. So we are going to discuss about the helical spring. So helical spring, you can see that helical spring, it has different types of end connection, like compression helical spring, and then it has different types of ends, like this is called plain ends. That means there is nothing is cutted, so this is called plain ends. And this is ground ends. That means the top portion is grounded. You can see that it has been grounded or drilled so that it becomes flat. And this one is the square ends. You can see that this suddenly it has cut, and it becomes flat, so it is square end. And then square and ground ends. So this is square and ground end, different types of things. Now whenever spring is placed and without having any kind of load, this is called the free length. And when you are giving some load, it gets compressed, then it is called compressed length. And whenever we are giving further load and the spring coil uh, comes contact to each other and there is no gap, then it is called compressed solid length. Okay, so here you can see that this is called one turn, goes and comes. So this is called one turn. So number of active turns for different types of cases. Plain grain is n is equal to n dash is equal to n, and ground end n is equal to n dash. Square end n dash is equal to n plus 2, and square and ground n dash is equal to n plus 2. So number of turns n dash is governed for different cases. So spring having loop on both ends, the total number of active turns is n dash is equal to n plus 1. So we use these things. N is the number of active turns and P is the pitch. Pitch means the distance from one coil to another coil is called the pitch when there is no load applied. And small d is the diameter of the spring wire. That means diameter of the spring wire is a small d. Okay, so we will come next the helical spring stresses and the equation. So let's say this is one helical spring. It is under compression, and if we draw the free body diagram, we can able to see that one torsional force acting in this direction. And if we see the nomenclature, capital D is a mean diameter of the spring coil. That means diameter from this to this is the mean diameter of the spring coil. Small d is the diameter of the spring wire, N is the number of active turns or active coil. G is the modulus rigidity of the spring material. W is the load acting axial direction. Tau maximum shear stress induced in the wire, and this is one important parameter, important term, that is C, spring index. Spring index is capital D by small d. That means the mean diameter of the spring coil divided by diameter of the spring. So capital D is this one, mean diameter of spring coil, and small d is the diameter of the spring. So this is called spring index. Pitch, already I have told, distance from one coil to another coil, and delta is a deflection of the spring due to load W. So now if we draw the free body diagram, we can see that there are two kind of stresses is acting on the spring. So one is the torsional shear stress, another is the direct shear stress. Apart from that, another shear stress is acting, that is curvature. Stress due to curvature. So first we will determine the torsional stress, then direct stress. So torsional stress, from torsion formula we know that T by J is equal to tau by R, and torque is equal to load into perpendicular distance. So torque is equal to load W is acting, and what is the distance between T and this is D by 2. So torque is equal to W into D by 2, that is equal to pi by 16 tau 1, that is torsional stress due to torsional, into d cube. So from here we can determine tau 1 is equal to 8 WD by pi d cube. So this is the torsional shear stress tau 1. So if we draw the torsional shear stress diagram, we can see that it goes from negative to positive. So this side is in compressed, and this side it is in tensile. And another stress, that is direct shear stress. For the direct shear stress, the tau 2 is basically nothing but load by cross-sectional area. So load is W, and cross-sectional area for the spring wire is pi by 4 d square, because d is the diameter. So pi by 4 d square, so 4 W divided by pi d square, this is the direct shear stress. So if we add these two shear stress, we will get total shear stress, that is tau 1 plus minus tau 2, that is equal to this. Why plus minus? Because in the inner edge of this wire it is negative, and the outer edge it is positive. So that's why it is plus minus. So inner edge is equal to tau 1 minus tau 2, and outer edge it will be tau 1 plus tau 2. So total stress tau is this plus minus this. So at inner edge it is negative, and for the outer edge it is maximum, it is positive. So since the stress is maximum at inner edge, therefore we can write tau is equal to 8 WD pi d cube plus 4 W pi d square. Then we are getting 8 WD pi d cube, and this. From there 8 WD pi d cube, 1 plus 2c, 1 plus 1 by 2c. So 1 plus 1 by 2c we are denoting by one parameter, that is Ks, that is shear stress factor, 1 plus 1 by 2c. So direct total shear stress tau is becomes Ks 8 WD pi d cube. So here you can see that the stress due to curvature of the wire, that means the wire is whenever the spring is made from the wire, it goes for the curvature kind of thing. It goes like this. So that effect, the stress effect due to that curvature wire is not considered whenever we are calculating the total stress. So we'll come next. So as per our previous equation, tau is equal to, we have seen this Ks 8 WD pi d cube. Ks is the shear stress factor, this. So whenever we consider the stress due to the curvature of the wire, and we solve analytically and experimentally, we see that the stress factor K and spring index varies like this way. As the spring index increases, the stress factor going to reduce, and it becomes nearly constant after spring index 15-16 range. So spring index is nothing but capital D by small d. So we can see that tau is this governed by this equation. K is equal to 8 WD divided by d cube. So this K and this Ks is not same. Ks where the curvature effect is not considered, and K here the stress due to curvature effect is considered, and experimentally the value of this K, it has been shown by the scientist Hall. That's why this stress factor or the constant is called as K, or Hall stress factor, and it is governed by this equation K is equal to 4C minus 1 divided by 4C minus 4 plus 0.615 by C. C is nothing but spring index, that is capital D by small d. So whenever we are going to solve the stress induced in the spring, we are going to take this K and we will put tau is equal to K is 8WC by pi d cube, and K is we can determine from this formula. So this is used for the actual reality case. Now we will come to the deflection equation of helical spring of the circular wire. So as we have discussed, this is free length, this is compressed length, this is compressed solid length. So L is the length of the coil. So L is the length of the coil that we can determine the length of one coil into number of active coils. So length of one coil is pi d into active coil is n, so pi d n. Theta is the angular deflection of the wire when it is acted upon by torque T. So axial deflection by the spring we can determine delta is equal to theta into d by 2. And we know from the torsional equation T by J is equal to tau by R, R is d by 2. So T by J is equal to tau by R, this is equal to G phi by L. So from there we can determine the deflection, the theta is equal to TL by Gj. So J is the polar moment of inertia of the spring wire, that is pi by 32 d to the power 4. D is the spring diameter and G is the modulus of rigidity. So from there we can determine the theta is equal to TL by Gj. So T is W into d by 2, L is pi dn, G pi by 32 d to the power 4 and G is G. So that is equal to 16W square n divided by GD to the power 4. So if we substitute this equation theta in this equation over here, we can get the deflection, that is 16W square n by GD to the power 4 into d by 2. So that becomes 8W cube n by GD to the power 4. That is 8W. What is C? C is d by d. So capital D by small d. So d cube by small d cube. So we can write C cube. So 8W C cube n and divided by G, and another d is there. So GD. So 8W C cube n by GD, that is the deflection. Now stiffness. Stiffness is very important parameter. Stiffness of a spring is known as the amount of load required for per unit deflection. So load required for unit deflection, if we divide by delta, we can get the stiffness, that is W by delta is equal to this by delta. So W by this term, so the W by this term it becomes GD to the power 4 8 d cube n. So that is equal to GD 8 c cube n. And we can see that G is for material is constant, and for a given spring D is constant, and this also constant. So this becomes a constant term for a given material or given spring for a given material. So this is the theoretical portion from the helical spring point of view. You need to go through this PPT and the theoretical equation derivation, and based on these things there will be one MCQ test, and I will open the link at 6 p.m. today. Okay.